Well, my name is Karen Ferridan. I'm the founder of Berks Gas Truth. My organization is one of the members of Pennsylvanians Against Fracking. We're part of the steering committee. But because we have so many great speakers and so little time, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to go right to introducing our first speaker of the day. And that is Sam Bernhard. He's the senior organizer for Food and Water Watch here in Pennsylvania. And he is also obviously a steering committee member of Pennsylvanians Against Fracking. So, Sam.
Thanks, Karen, and thanks everyone for joining us today. So my name is Sam Bernhard. I'm the senior Pennsylvania organizer for Food and Water Watch.
Can you talk into the microphone more, please?
My name's Sam Bernhard. I'm the senior Pennsylvania organizer for Food and Water Watch. We're a national advocacy organization working to champion healthy food and clean water for all. And we're one of the co-founding groups behind Pennsylvanians Against Fracking. Pennsylvanians Against Fracking is a statewide coalition of groups representing a diversity of issues, backgrounds, and locations, united in the mission of achieving a ban on fracking in the Commonwealth. Yeah. Now boasting nearly 90 member organizations, this coalition is growing quickly. Every day, signing on new labor groups, faith institutions, and other constituency organizations supporting this mission. Governor Wolfe is the one individual in Pennsylvania who can give us what we want and bring an end to fracking in Pennsylvania. Yeah. But Wolfe and many other elected officials here in Harrisburg have been subdued by the fracking industry and their millions of dollars spent annually in campaign contributions. Overcoming the industry's influence will require building a movement that can put pressure on Wolfe every chance we get. And today, Governor Wolfe's Inauguration Day is one of those chances. The industry's pockets are deep, but our movement is strong and is growing in every corner of the state, as you can see from who we've got in the room here today. And actions like today's are just the start of a grassroots effort to pressure Governor Wolfe to stop fracking in our state. And we promise to be a constant presence as Governor Wolfe tours Pennsylvania in 2015.
Hello, I'm Raina Ripple. As noted, I am the director of the Southwest Pennsylvania Environmental Health Project, and I welcome everyone here to the state capitol on this momentous day. I am going to be quick. I understand you have a rally to go to, so I'll say a few things. Is that loud enough? You good? I'm here again to represent the Southwest Pennsylvania Environmental Health Project, which, as many of you may know, works on health issues, and more importantly, I'm here as a mother. And I am here to tell you something very important, which many of you may know, which is every mother worries. Before I became a mother, I worried. Never like this. I understand what it is for mothers and fathers in the face of this industrial development to worry, and no mother, no father should have to worry as mothers and fathers worry in close proximity to industrial gas, unconventional natural gas development. And I'm not only a mother, however, I am the director of a team of healthcare professionals, public health researchers, scientists, and community outreach professionals who collectively now have as much knowledge as anyone in the country on health impacts related to shale gas development. The Southwest Pennsylvania Environmental Health Project was established with a mission to respond to individuals' and communities' need for access to accurate, timely, and trusted public health information and health services associated with natural gas extraction. In this, we continuously emphasize the need for timely and trusted guidance. In America, we expect certain aspects of our life to be sacred. The right to a secure home, the right to fair compensation for our work, education for our children, and reasonable protection for our health. EHP's 4 years of experience and research in Southwest Pennsylvania convinces us that unconventional natural gas development, including pipelines, compressor stations, truck traffic, and well pads, are a serious potential threat to the public's health. EHP emerged in response to a fundamentally flawed public policy decision that allowed the widespread introduction of unconventional natural gas development without proper health assessment or environmental standards to ensure that the gas extraction activities could occur without harm to nearby residents, workers, or the environment. EHP's on-the-ground public health assessment in southwestern Pennsylvania, coupled with an ongoing review of the health literature, has raised the prospect that we may be at the beginning of a runaway public health crisis. Right now, there are communities where unconventional natural gas development is exposing tens of thousands of people to toxic substances. During the last century, we saw many severe and completely avoidable public health crises associated with pollution and commercial activity. We see a similar situation rapidly unfolding with unconventional natural gas development. We do not want to see our future society lamenting yet another preventable human tragedy. We don't want to face sick children or adults in 10, 15, or 30 years because of contamination from unconventional natural gas development that is being unleashed now. Pennsylvania's governor can address this situation through the public health system. That's where the expertise exists to assess risks such as those presented by unconventional natural gas development. The New York decision to ban fracking was based on such a public health assessment. The Pennsylvania Department of Health needs to play a similar role in ensuring that unconventional gas extraction activities carried out in Pennsylvania are adequately controlled and monitored. If it lacks the capacity to do so, that's an even more critical problem. Further, while this is being sorted out, the public health community needs, and the medical community need to help people understand how to protect themselves. As a mom, I know it is my mandate to protect my children. Residents of Pennsylvania deserve no less than the agencies which exist to protect their health and well-being. Thank you.
So the message I'm bringing from New York is this can happen. You can go against industry. 8 years ago, when the landmen first came into Pennsylvania, and then we heard about the fact that landmen were running around Pennsylvania, and then they came over the Delaware River into New York, we had questions. What is fracking? What is this? Well, what's going on? 5 to 8 million gallons of water mixed with thousands and thousands of pounds of toxic chemical pumped into the ground with enough pressure to break up rock 8,000 feet under the ground, and it's perfectly safe? No. So some of you remember that. Remember those days when the gas companies' lips were moving and they were lying, and you didn't believe it. And you started pressuring and pushing people and going to your town boards, going to your local officials, to the DEC. You hit a brick wall in Pennsylvania because of the politics at the time. But we won in New York. There's still work to be done here. We did something that we didn't think was possible back then. Everybody was telling all of us, it's Chesapeake, Exxon, get the best lease you can get. That's the best thing you can do. There's no way you're going to stop it. That's baloney. We stopped it. We stopped them because, and for the same reason, that this is a historic moment for Pennsylvania. And the people in this room and the people that are out in the street today are going to change history. Because they're not going to believe what industry says. They're not going to believe when their politician isn't giving them the straight answer that they haven't been influenced by industry. They're going to keep pushing. They're going to go to the rally. They're going to go to their elected official over and over again. And there's some people in this room I know are going to hound the governor wherever they go. because they believe that grassroots, frontline communities that are dealing with the impacts in the gas field are the experts. And we proved in New York that those frontline communities and those voices from the gas field can be heard. They can be heard by politicians. They can be heard by academics who start studying this and talk about those chemicals and the impacts to people, your neighbors, that have changed and hurt their lives forever. And we're not going to stop until the politicians start making decisions that are protecting those people and protecting all of us and protecting the planet. And the news was all over the place after our ban, and it said the first state to ban fracking after Vermont, which didn't really have shale. But New York was the first state to ban fracking. They got before it happened. Let's have the first state that was entrenched with industry to ban fracking.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today on this very, very important occasion. It was just over a year ago that in response to a piece of litigation the Delaware Riverkeeper Network and 7 towns brought, that the Chief Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court recognized that we all have an inherent and indefeasible right to pure water, clean air, and a healthy environment. And that these were not rights that were given to us by law, but that here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, these are rights very clearly to be protected by law. In fact, the Pennsylvania state constitution commands that every government official in this state, at every level of government, including the governor's office, must protect the people's right to pure water, clean air, and a healthy environment. The science, the facts, the experiences in communities where shale gas extraction is happening today make very clear that our environmental rights cannot be honored if Pennsylvania allows shale gas extraction, drilling, and fracking to continue. As Chief Justice Castile said so well, and I'm quoting, "By any responsible account, the exploitation of the Marcellus Shale Formation will produce a detrimental effect on the environment, on the people, their children, and future generations. And these are impacts to resources essential to life, health, and liberty." By contrast, in communities where they're investing in clean energy, they have good paying, enduring jobs. In fact, they have more jobs because for every $1 million you invest in a clean energy option, you create 3 times the number of jobs that you would create if you invested those same resources in the oil and gas industry. These are jobs that provide good salaries to support their families, but they protect our water, they protect our air, they protect our health, they protect the quality of our lives at the very same time. We truly can have it all when it comes to energy. And in the Delaware River watershed, where we have a moratorium against shale gas extraction, there are $22 billion and hundreds of thousands of jobs that are generated every year by our clean and healthy Delaware River. So we are here today to welcome Governor Wolfe to Harrisburg and to the governor's office, but we are also here today to tell him that we expect him to protect our environmental rights, to protect the rights of the children who are here today and the children who are yet to come, to be able to drink healthy water, breathe healthy air, eat healthy food grown in healthy soils, to be free from the devastating storms and droughts of climate change, to be able to experience and enjoy the awesomeness of a healthy, mature, unfractured forest, to be able to witness the passing of a wild animal living free and unimpeded by gas wells and pipelines. We are here today to tell Governor Wolfe that we expect him to reject shale gas, to instead embrace and invest in clean energy options, because that is what he must do to fulfill his moral obligation and his constitutional obligation to protect our inherent rights to pure water, clean air, and a healthy environment, to protect these rights for those of us who are here today and for the generations of people, families, and children yet to come.
I want to personally congratulate Governor Wolfe on being inaugurated and thank him for ending the tyrannical Corbyn era. No small feat, right, in PA, which doesn't like to throw out incumbent governors. I want to ask, on behalf of Delaware Riverkeeper Network and Pennsylvanians Against Fracking and Clean Water Action and every other amazing organization in this room for a meeting. I think it's appropriate to say, let's get together and talk about these things. Everybody knows you can't have your cake and eat it too. Kind of teed that one up for us. Rookie mistake, maybe. But honestly, when I think about having witnessed and telling the stories of people throughout Pennsylvania and people throughout the nation, in Wyoming, Texas, and Colorado, and New Mexico, and around the world, the human rights violations that this industry is responsible for, the health crisis that it's responsible for, the water contamination, the air pollution. I have to say, being a person who lives in Pennsylvania, a mile from the New York border in the upper Delaware River Basin, being very much both a Pennsylvanian and a New Yorker, having watched the tale of two states unfold, that I'm incredibly proud of the people in New York for fighting the way they have fought. Or I should say the way we have fought, right? But in many, many ways, I'm more proud of the people in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania saved New York, right? Because it was people from Dimmock and people from Washington County, Greene County, and Fayette County, and Pittsburgh that came to New York and said, you gotta figure out how to get to PA and see what's going on here, and see our devastation, and hear our stories. Without hope, with governors Rendell and Corbett, who were not listening at all, who were not on the side of the people, who had decided that it was okay to abuse their own citizens, put Pennsylvanians at risk for the profits of multinational oil companies so that they could export gas to Europe and to China. And I mean, that's selling our democracy at the highest level. Now, we don't, I mean, Governor Wolfe has a lot of money, but he can't buy the democracy, and the oil and gas industry can't buy the democracy either. You can't buy people from Pennsylvania. So I've been waiting for this opportunity to have an actual political chance, right? Here, New Yorkers are gutsy and passionate and arrogant and elitist and wonderful in that way, and won't take yes for an answer. But New Yorkers won because New York decided to include one concept in their discussion of shale gas fracking that Pennsylvania didn't, and that was democracy. I knew we were going to win in New York because New York decided to handle this through a democratic process. It was called an environmental impact study. People got to participate, and they participated by the hundreds of thousands in a process that led us down the road of science, and science told us we weren't crazy in Dimmock. Science told us we weren't crazy in Western PA. Science told us we weren't crazy in Tioga County, in Butler County, Potter County. When I started doing this in 2008, investigating fracking, there was no science. There were a lot of people in Texas and Wyoming and Colorado who were screaming at the top of their lungs, somebody please pay attention. Now we have 400 plus peer-reviewed scientific papers with one coming out every single day saying what we know to be true. This process harms water, this process contaminates the air, this process creates a health crisis, this process fragments communities, it creates earthquakes, it has radioactive wastewater that is being found in Pennsylvania streams. We know these things are occurring. So if you have a government that is disobeying science, we're truly in a state of crisis. And I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case with this new governor. And again, I would like to say, through the media, who's here, meet with us, talk with us. Don't be on the wrong side of history. Don't make more rookie mistakes like having your cake and eat it too, because we won't continue to be eaten. I say that, with a great optimism that it will occur. So I'm very happy to be, I'm so excited to be here today. And I thank you all for being here. And thanks.
So anybody have a question for our speakers? Yes.
I guess to Mr. Gillingham or Mr. Fox, we have a very different political reality in Pennsylvania than in New York. Governor Wolfe campaign pledge was to tax this industry, not to ban it. What makes you think this push for a ban will be successful?
What do I think? Well, it's not just a ban that we have to talk about here, it's also reparations. I mean, we're in a state of total, it's not just, oh, we can keep them out. It's now you must figure out how to repair the damage that's been done. It's way even beyond a ban. You have to start the clock in reverse. Someone has to invent technology to get these chemicals back out of the ground. Why do I have faith? Because I have faith in people, I have faith in democracy. This governor is not, was elected with a progressive coalition. There is no progressive vision for Pennsylvania that includes fracking. This governor, as we all know, for all the reasons I stated, but also another one, which is climate change. We're not in a state where we would hope to go back to square one with a supposed progressive in office on some of the very basics of what the Democratic Party believes in and is a platform. So why do I believe we can do it? Because I always have believed we can do it. And I have faith that, that here in Pennsylvania that case can be made. But it's even beyond a ban. It's saying now, you know, the chemicals in the ground have your initials on them unless you stop this process. And those we have to start to not only think about, you know, the real future, which is renewable energy, which everyone knows, but how to repair this state. That's clear. So I'm obviously, you know, call me optimistic about it, but I've always been optimistic in the sense that the truth will prevail, and I think it's still going.
You successfully get a ban on fracking. Do you have any proposals on how to support education funding with other revenue streams?
Well, you know, first of all, you know, Saudi Arabia is crashing the oil market, and they're doing that because they are signaling that the end of the oil era. They're saying we'd rather sell our oil at $20 a barrel than have lots of oil left in the ground when we don't need it anymore. And the former sheikh of the oil ministry said, you know, the Stone Age didn't end for lack of stones. So they're seeing the writing on the wall. What that means is we have to invest our education system in the energy systems of the future and the economics of the future, which is renewable energy. I hate to say this, but in New York there's a program called K-Solar, which is about putting solar on schools. We're going to be touring both New York and Pennsylvania with a new thing called Solutions Grassroots. Myself and Zephyr Teachout, who shocked the world by getting 35% and in the New York primary, because primarily a lot of the reason was because of the fracking movement. But you know, look, you can't You can't educate kids by supporting an industry. I mean, supposedly, education is about preparing people for the future. We know, climate change, that the oil and gas industry is the thing that's actually making sure that we won't have a future. So you can't say, oh, we're going to support these kids' futures by supporting the industry that's going to deprive them and everybody else of a future. That's crazy talk. That's insane. And what we're learning from Saudi Arabia is also, look, if you want to tie your whole economic system to a commodity, which is oil, you're going to suffer tyranny. Whether that's the tyranny of Saudi Arabia, or the tyranny of Putin, or the tyranny of George Bush, coming to blow your whole country up. Yeah. That's what you get when you decide that oil is the underpinning of your economy. If we have this distributed generation of renewable energy, solar and wind, which we know from our work with Susan's project and Mark Jacobson at Stanford, can supply all the energy that we need, you're trying to put this back in the hands of the people. That's a much more democratic form of energy. It's a much more democratic form of creating an education base for your society. That's it.
Hi, I'm Bob Nielsen from Western New York, Finger Lakes region, co-founder of Frack Free Tennessee. I'm wondering if there's a message I can take back to our followers. We'd love to help in this fight in Pennsylvania and take this across the country and squash this thing everywhere. We're blessed to get the decision in New York, like you said, largely in part to the devastation here in Pennsylvania. So we're here if there's anything we can do to help. If there's a message we can take back, what New Yorkers can do to help out.
Hi, this is Maya Van. I just want to say what's happening here in Pennsylvania doesn't just stay here in Pennsylvania. When we devastate the future of our earth, when we exacerbate climate change, when we pollute our water, we pollute our air, we devastate the futures for our children, we set this horrible, horrible precedent that people are pointing to. People across the nation are pointing to Pennsylvania and say, see what they're doing there? We need to do this everywhere. So what happens in Pennsylvania has an impact on New York. And even though we were, as a collective community, successful in getting a ban on fracking and shale gas extraction using high-volume hydraulic fracturing in the state of New York, the work is not done. And we really do need and want and seek the support of New Yorkers to come here to Pennsylvania and to help us bring the message across the nation that when they took the hard look at the science, when they took the political deal-making out of the equation and just looked at the science, the facts, the information, and what was actually happening on the ground, they came to the right conclusion, which is fracking, drilling, and shale gas extraction is not only not safe for New York, but it's not safe for any community. It's not safe for any watershed. It's not safe for any state. And we do need to across the nation, across the world. And the solution is here today. And if you go to thesolutionprojects.org, you will see how every state in this nation can become totally fueled by sustainable energy options by the year 2050, how the nation as a whole can be fueled by sustainable energy options by the year 2050, and in fact how the whole world can be fueled by clean energy options by the year 2050, because this gas is going to be gone by the year 2040 anyway. So let's get on the right path today, and we need New York to help us spread that message across the world.
Last question, Sean.
Sean Kitchen from the Region Chicken Press. Last year we witnessed what happened in West Virginia with the water contamination for Charleston, West Virginia, and the whole entire region. Are we looking at stuff like that for major cities like Pittsburgh or other Pennsylvania cities where their drinking water is contaminated, and we're possibly looking at hundreds of thousands to possibly 1 million people without?
So this issue fits into multiple issues around the country. This is going after using extreme methods to get our energy. Going back to that first question about, well, how is this going to work in Pennsylvania? And following up on what Maya said, this is a story about the whole country. We can't continue to poison our water, poison our air, and poison the people in our communities.
One parting thought in answer to the question about Governor Wolfe and his promise to tax fracking in order to make money for the rest of Pennsylvania. The other thing that Governor Wolfe has said throughout his campaign is he only wants and he will only allow drilling to the extent that you can make it safe, right? He said you can engage in drilling and fracking as long as we can have in place regulations that make it safe. The message of today is you can't make shale gas extraction, you can't make drilling, you can't make fracking safe. So if he wants to comport with his campaign promises, he has to ban fracking now in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.